Hi, my name's Steve and welcome to another Mindbomb Training video. Today's topic is events and exhibitions and how to get the best out of them. Really, it's a broad-ranging thing. It's all sorts of trade shows, takes in all the whole run of country fairs, any kind of event or exhibition that you might be involved in. So if you've been involved and perhaps don't feel like you're getting the best out of it, or maybe you're new to the idea of doing some trade shows, thinking about it for the future, well, this video is for you. Keep watching. First off is the whole thing about preparation. It may sound obvious, but there seems to be a natural tendency to put things off until the last minute and then run around like crazy, and the last week or so it just descends into chaos. So make sure that you're thinking about it, especially if you're new to the whole thing. Make sure you're thinking about it months in advance. You've got to prepare the ground, and obviously the more that you put into the preparation in advance, then the more likely it is to be successful for you. So there's a whole range of things that you can do. The print materials, any promo items, all of that kind of stuff. Get it done weeks in advance so that you're not running around crazy at the last minute thinking about it to try and rush through in the last few days. The same goes for the idea with the website. If you're going to put some information on the website, if you've got a dedicated page to trade shows and events that you do, all of that needs to be done early. And if you can just run it through the year, if you do several across the year, make sure that you've got all of the information and all the current dates, everything that's booked up basically. Equally, the promotion to the customers, all of that's got to be prepared. If you're likely to see your existing customers at the trade shows, then make sure to be letting them know early. Obviously you're going to email them, but if you've got a planned email campaign for it, then make sure that's actually started early, and think about novel ways of approaching and communicating with your customers. Get them, maybe if you're sending things to them regularly anyway, if you send them orders out, then get some stuff that you can actually put in the box. When they open the box, they're going to see that as something different, a leaflet or even some samples, gifts or whatever. Put it in the box, and then that will actually stick with them as to the fact that it's linked with the show that you're doing. And the same if you're going to invite all the customers. Think about a specific promotion for existing customers. Maybe you can give them a discount or something on the latest item, latest product that you have that you're going to be promoting at the show anyway. Maybe there's a particular campaign that you can run about the new product that you're actually launching at the show. Make them feel a bit special so that they're likely, they're likely to come to the show anyway, but if they're going to come, you want them to come to your stand and spend time with you. Make sure that they're actually going to book that in and take the time out to come and see you. So there's a big thing that you can do with the existing customers. Another thing for preparation is about where everybody's going to stay. Make sure that you think about this, all the travel plans, and if you need a hotel, if you're going to have to book hotel rooms, make sure that all of that is done well in advance as well. Again, hotels and events, it can go crazy in the last week before a particular big show. So make sure that you're actually booked up and get the places allocated as early as you can. Basically, as soon as you know that you're doing the show, you should be booking the accommodation as well. So the second thing to consider is the promotion. You've got to use all your marketing skills and be a bit creative about the promotion of an event, especially if you're only doing one or two big events in a year. Then you've got to keep on hammering home the message and make sure that as wide an audience as you can create are actually going to be told about your appearance, your promotion for that event. So be creative in what you can do. If you've got a prominent building, then put the details up on a signboard outside in lights, make sure that people see about it. The same email marketing is great, but you've got to keep on repeating the message and make sure that people are aware of the fact that you'll be at the show. If you can do something with competition, then maybe run a competition. If people normally have to pay for the tickets for the show, then it's always a good one if you can actually blag some tickets from the organisers and give them away as part of a competition for your potential customers, and use them as a promotion for both yourself and for the event itself. Make sure to plan it well in advance, and make sure that you've got the campaign organised, and make sure that you've let the customers know well in advance. They've obviously got to make their own plans. So the more forward thinking that you can be, then the more likely it is for your customers or your potential customers to want to come and see you at that particular show. So the third point is about the venue and the stand itself. Obviously space is tight at all of these things, so you're going to have a restricted area. However well you're doing, however much you spend on the stand, there's going to be a limit to the space that you'll actually have on the show itself. So plan it out. Obviously you need to draw roughly what you're going to put where, but it can be a good idea if you've got something like a warehouse where you've got the space to actually draw it out, outline it, and then if you're going to have a specific set with the display boards and all the print materials and obviously table and chairs, it's amazing how much space the table and chairs can take up, and that's got to be one of the key parts of any stand, is where people are going to sit and to talk and hopefully to discuss the product and the orders with you. So make sure that you've actually got it laid out in advance. You know exactly how much space it's going to take, and make sure that you can actually get everything into the space that you've booked. So obviously another preparation for the venue and the stand itself. Another thing to consider with the stand is the lighting. Lighting and internet connection, probably the two main things. Internet connection for obvious reasons, now everyone wants to be connected anyway, but the lighting people kind of underestimate. There's two extremes. You can either go with really minimal lighting, and that maybe gives you the stand quite a poor quality in terms of catching the eye. But the other extreme is where you end up with masses of lighting on the stand, and if it's a hot venue anyway, believe me, I've worked under some hot lights, and if the place is packed, it really can get over much. So think carefully about the lighting. You need to be able to display certain areas of the stand and use lighting to pick that up, but you don't want, especially if it's a relatively small stand, you don't want massive lighting in the kind of exhibition hall. If you can actually have a big display screen in the stand itself, that can save you a lot of space, because you can scroll videos, you can run different things, or you can just run it as a poster. You can change the posters basically on the screen, and it can save lots of different pop-up roll-up type posters, which obviously take quite a lot of space for each one. So if you can get hold of a big display screen, then that can be a good way of saving some space on the stand, and it can be effective in terms of catching the eye and running different display or promo reels for you anyway. So yeah, it's a good way of doing it. Otherwise, the pop-up displays are great. One thing I would try and avoid is lots of physical products, especially if you've got something that's bulky. The last thing that you need is to wheel in lots of big products onto the stand and then find that you can't actually quite get them all in. It's a nightmare to actually move around. But it's a good way of doing it if you can get the big display board type screen. The fourth thing to consider is promo items. Lots of people like to give away things at the exhibitions, and I've always thought there should be really two levels of promo items. So you need a few things like the pens and I don't know, the simple freebies that people can pick up on the stand, basically for the trophy hunters that are going around just collecting whatever freebies they can. And then maybe something that's a little bit more, applies more to your business or is personalised for the business, and maybe a bit more expensive, that you actually want to consider whether they're genuine customers or genuine potential customers for you. And those then you can actually keep at the back of the stand. Ideally, if you've got a separate lock-up cupboard or something at the back, then you can actually keep the product there. So keep in mind you want two different levels really of promo items. What can work well if you've got if you're selling something, maybe clothing or something that it's a general product for you, then personalise it. I don't mean necessarily for the event itself, but for the company. Make sure that you're using your product, your name. You can get your brand across, and then you can use those as promo items. Always makes something a bit different that way. Actually, one last tip about promo items. Talking about events, one thing you don't want to do is to make them date specific. So even if it flags up an event that you're doing, then I definitely avoid any dates on them, so that if the event for whatever reason isn't as busy as you expect, you can always use the item again for the next time around, whether it's for another event or whether it's for the same thing next year. So yeah, don't stamp any dates on the promo items that you're using. So point number 5 is about the staff, what you're going to do about your team, your people that are actually going to attend the event with you. And again, you need to give them plenty of notice. If you've got to travel to the event and people are going to be away for a few days, then make sure that they've got plenty of time to arrange their own personal travel arrangements and get their lives in order so that they can be at the event with you. Yeah, give them a bit of notice time, and think about the people that you need at the event. It's not always best just to have a whole stand full of salespeople or the sales and marketing team. It might be that you need some of the technical people that are actually behind the products, or some of the backroom people that have been involved if it's a new product that you're launching. It can be very useful, again, it is a sales exercise basically, but it can be very useful to be able to give the customer that in-depth background and knowledge about the particular project. So yeah, make sure that you've got a bit of a balance of people from your team on the stand. Hopefully that will bring the product and the technical background to it to life a bit more for the customers, rather than just being pitched at and pushed to get the order pad out. The other thing with the team is to make it clear to the team what you're actually attending the event for. So it could be a selling event, so you're looking for orders, but you've got to talk about what you want to be selling, what your targets are, how many you should be aiming for, and all of that has got to be prepared in advance as well. Make sure that the team that go there, they're 100% behind it and know exactly what you're aiming for. So if your intention, if you actually need to get 100 orders on the show on the day, or 100 orders over the week, whatever it may be, you've got to actually communicate that to the team. And it can also engender a bit of competition between the guys that are on the stand with you. Make sure that they can all have a very clear idea about what they're there for, and hopefully it will actually generate more prospects and more sales that way. The other thing to think about with the issue over staff, there's always the perpetual headache. Some people, for whatever reason, seem to treat events, I suppose it's a break in the routine, and they seem to treat events as a reason for a week-long party if you're actually there for a while. And it depends on the culture of the business. Maybe it'll suit the kind of culture that you have, but my own feeling is if you get the work done first, then fine. If everyone wants to let a bit of steam off on the last day that you're there, that's great. But make sure that you're actually aware and getting across to people, these are the ground rules, this is what we want to see you do. Make sure that you're here on time on the day, and basically not nursing a hangover for the first half of the day. You want to be in there and getting on with it as soon as the event opens and people start coming around. So yeah, make sure it's clear with people what your expectations are for the event. So point number 6, best way to get the most out of your event, is to do with the record keeping. It's something that can get missed in all the flurry of activity of the event itself. So everyone that you're speaking to, every potential prospect that you're speaking to, you should actually be qualifying and making sure whether they are the right kind of customer for you, they are a potential lead, is the stuff that you need to be following up, or even if not immediate follow-up, you want to get them onto your database and make sure that you've got the full details. So every conversation that the team have, they've got to understand that they've got to note that and to push to get contact details if it's not an existing customer. everyone should be in the same role as far as that is concerned, and make sure that you've actually got all of the prospects details as soon as you can. So I'm fairly old-fashioned about these things. I prefer a printed form. You can fill in the basic details. If necessary, clip a business card to it so that you've actually got the details on the day. And what I always do, a good tip, is to make sure you just take a photo of every one that you actually accumulate, just in case the printed copy gets mislaid or disappears along with the whole knockdown of the stand at the end of the thing. But that is the gold, really. That's the stuff that you've gone for. So you want all of the details of every discussion and inquiry that you've had, so that you can actually follow it up after the event. So the record keeping is probably as important as the event itself. Make sure that everybody is aware of that and what they're supposed to be doing about it. So point number 7 is the follow-up, the post-event work. And again, this can be something that people seem to fall down on. You go through the excitement and activity of getting there and meeting all the new prospects and all the buzz of the event itself. But really, it's got to be followed up in just the same way. You've got to have that same flurry of activity afterwards. You'd like to think if it's a big national event, you're going to come away with hundreds of inquiries and new potential contacts to follow up. Now then, obviously you can't do all of that yourself. If you're the boss of the business, you're not going to sit down and speak to everybody. But it is with you to delegate that and understand actually who is going to take responsibility. So go through the leads and the inquiries that you've generated, and allocate out, depending on which one, whether it's regionally or whether it's by product, however you divide the leads up with your team. Then make sure that they're all allocated, but also it's got to be clear with you to, once you've delegated it, to follow the whole thing through. You want to know what's actually happened, make sure that all the samples have gone, make sure that the quotes have gone that you've promised people. All of that kind of thing has got to be followed through as though it was the only customer that you'd actually seen. And it's really important to follow it up. You can start that work really at the event itself. It's often quite a good thing to be able to take the first hour of the day, which is normally a quieter hour, for everybody to then follow up the previous day's leads. So that might be arranging samples, it might be just sending an email, sending technical details, all that kind of information that the customer's actually requested. You can actually do that while you're at the show itself. And then the follow-up the week or two later, maybe an appointment. It might be to ring and negotiate over the price, quantity, price details, etc., etc. But all of that has got to be into a normal sales system, and it's really important from from your point of view, the boss's point of view, to make sure that that's followed up hard and get the best value for money from it, basically. And finally, with the dust settling on the event, as all of the hopefully all the orders come through and all the new contacts and new customers actually come through, make sure to give feedback to the team that have actually helped you through with the event. You want to give them a few highlights, maybe new customers that you've actually taken on board, and feed that back to everybody involved. It's always good to be able to know how the whole result has panned out. And if you're one of the sales team, especially if they're remote, if they're not involved in the office, they might not realise what's the outcome of the event. They might know something about their own particular customers, but it doesn't mean that they'll understand necessarily what the impact of the event has got to be across the whole business. So make sure to give that feedback and give them the encouragement for the next time around, either for the next event or for the next year if you only do 1 or 2 a year. So make sure to let everybody know and keep them informed about what the outcomes are. Okay, I think that's just about it. I hope you've enjoyed the video today, and obviously as usual, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.